We're recording. Hey everybody, this is the intro bottle run video of the new YouTube channel, Philosopher Stoner 666. And I guess you've already guessed my title's a reference to the Philosopher's Stone, except it's the Philosopher Stoner. Yeah, ha ha ha, I know, right? Anyways, I just thought about starting up a YouTube channel just to talk about odd philosophical thoughts that I've had. Because lately I've been going to university for 4 years. I'm a student at University of Toronto taking philosophy, and I haven't had much luck having, philosophical conversations about any sort of topics that I find interesting. I've written thousands of fucking papers and all sorts of stuff that they read it and then they throw it away. And it hasn't really gone anywhere. I've just been sort of observing and reading, and I've read all sorts of things and just sort of developing my thoughts. And I think now is the time where I've developed my own ideas and just to maybe put them on the public soapbox. But like I said, no luck. I tried starting up my own club, and it just seems that people don't give a shit, and it's all quite disposable. And who knows if anybody will even watch this video or if anybody even really gives a shit. But you know what? I don't really give a shit anymore either. So anyways, I've had a few topics on my mind that I wanted to talk about. These were Earth Day, the 420 thing, and this idea I had floating around in my head about waste and the older generation. So I guess I'll start with that. Just this whole idea of waste. On Friday I was at a funeral for my grandmother. She passed away. She died. And just thinking about her generation. She was 89 years old, and she was a hoarder. She came out of this era, the Great Depression, and she was stingy. She scrimped and saved every fucking penny, and came out of the Dust Bowl in Regina, Saskatchewan, and saved and saved and saved. And then, just thinking to myself, well, what's the fucking point, And now she's dead. And it was weird, these weird sort of coincidences. I don't know if any of you out there have ever had this sort of happen where, Margaret Thatcher died earlier in the week, and then I get all dressed up in my suit and we're about to head out to the funeral, and then I see on the shelf Margaret Thatcher's The Downing Street Years on my grandmother's bookshelf. And it's like, well, it's a weird coincidence, right? Because Margaret Thatcher died. And just thinking about how, her, this iron woman, her and my grandma and this generation, they were the iron women. And, we like to have this phony moral, high ground grandstanding where we think we would do things differently if we were in their position. And the thing is we wouldn't, They had to do what they had to do. But it was just like this, just my thinking on it of, well, they did all this and for what? Now they're dead and they're going to be forgotten and they're not really, it doesn't really go anywhere. And then here I am, I'm only like fucking 23 years old. And it's like, well, I've had lately the past 6 months, this philosophical depression of just like, God damn it, look at the way the world is about, where's my future going? What am I doing? How nobody really seems to give a shit or want to have a conversation about any of these issues. Another guy honking his horn there. So anyways, my grandmother's a hoarder. That was my train of thought. My grandmother's a hoarder, and I see where our society has gone the complete opposite. I'm going to entitle this a bottle run video because I like to go, I go every Sunday night when it's garbage recycling night and gather up the wine bottles and recycling bottles. And, I do it because I make homemade wine. But you just see it out there that we've gone from hoarding to just throwing everything away. Everything is disposable. Nothing has any real sort of value. Ideas don't even have value. anymore. You know, with the people throwing away these wine bottles, and the liquor store where they can get a refund on the bottle, 20 cents a bottle, 10 cents a bottle if it's a beer bottle. It's like 5 minutes away from people's houses, and you know, they're too fucking lazy to walk the 5 minutes to get a refund on their bottle. And then, you know, we're told in university to do all these social causes and things, you know, that apparently in Africa, you know, some kids dying because there's not 50 cents to pay for a vaccine. And it's like, well, hey, we can, and then yet we can afford to throw away, you know, 20 cents, 40 cents, 60 cents of fucking wine bottles into the recycling, just like that. And you know, and these are people that they're habitual offenders. I go by the same houses. I've been doing this shit since the new year, going every Sunday just because I got nothing else to do. You know, it gives me a walk, gives me exercise, I get free bottles. You know, I go by the same houses all the time, and there's, you know, the same people leaving out their bottles. You know, you figured you maybe save them up and then go to the liquor store, maybe get like a couple of crates full and then go save them up over weeks. But then people don't even want to do that. So, you know, it's like we just sort of fail. Our society has sort of hit this failure point. And it's this thing, we don't want to discuss these kind of issues. And so, yeah, I was thinking about, because I really wish I had found this camera for yesterday. Yesterday was 4/20, April 20th, you know, so it's the 4th month and the 20th day in reference to all that stoner culture. And it was also Earth Day as well. And I went down to this park where they were doing tree planting, Earth Day, I don't know what you want to call it, festivities, I guess. And yeah, you know, planted a tree. I planted like 5 trees. And, you know, it was interesting in nature, walked around. But just how, like, that whole movement, the environmental movement and the green culture thing is just another religion. It's just another Mother Gaia kind of weird fucking thing that they're not really having an honest conversation or a philosophical conversation about what's going on. You know, they don't want to talk about the insidious, the preposterous, I don't know how else to term it, yeah, this insidious inefficiency in nature that, you know, I plant a tree, and they don't want to talk about that, you know, we're doing these tree transplants from these seedlings, that half of these trees are going to die before they reach the age of maturity, you know? They're not going to make it to maturity. And that's how nature operates, that for every successful organism, there were 10 or 20 failures. You know, and it's just like, well, and then they have the path with wood chips, and then they had this thing that was going by a river, and it was a bridge made out of wood, and it's like all these trees we're planting, we're planting the trees so that one day we can chop them down so that we can have a wood chip path, because heaven forbid, you know, our shoes get in the mud or some shit like that, you know, and just preposterous, absurd. And I was just thinking to myself, well, you know, I guess it's just a feel-good exercise, you know, it's not really going anywhere, there's not really a future with it. You know, and then they just want to make it seem like nature is just this benevolent thing, and it's like, well, no, you know, and even all sorts of things when I was walking around, these insects and these bugs and these birds, and they're all planning to, you know, eat each other and scheming away, and it's like, well, you know, is that anything so great? And then they want to preserve it, and I'm thinking to myself, well, you know, I'm doing this tree planting, and I wanted to just check it out. I wanted to see what it was about, and yeah, it's just like they don't want to, they're not having a conversation. They're just another clique. And I guess I'll just use that whole idea, they're just another religion. Same thing with I went to the legalized marijuana thing, the 420 thing. And, you know, they got music and they got, you know, they had some speeches and stuff, but they, you know, it was just another clique. It was just another, they're not really interested in a dialogue. I saw half the crowd were like 14-year-olds and shit, and that's like, well, if they ever do legalize marijuana, which they should, you know, these 14-year-olds are never going to be able to smoke it. You know, and it's like, well, how stupid's that, you know? That, you know, I think they should just have, you know, like a Walmart of weed or whatever, where you can just go and you can just buy it and stop making all this fucking propaganda and lies and everything. But just how, you know, really just thinking that there's no real conversation. It's just everybody's in their own little world, and it's just that none of it's really going anywhere. And I was just thinking about this, like I was talking about earlier, just with my philosophical sort of depression, that yeah, none of it's going anywhere, and we're all, you know, going to the fucking cemetery anyway. And I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to be morbid or anything, but just like, you know, we don't really want to have an honest conversation or look at things honestly and go like, well, you know, or have a rational sort of debate about anything. So I guess, you know, I'll just wrap it off because I've just been rambling enough already. I plan to make a few more videos about, you know, whatever topics. Plan on doing one about making homemade wine, maybe some music that I've been working on. And yeah, I guess that's just it for now. Take it easy.